Hi, welcome to the Voracious Reader. Today we're talking about The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment by Thaddeus Golas. Maybe when you think of enlightenment, you think of yogis practicing hard with discipline, or monks segregating themselves from society and living on a mountain and practicing mindfulness. Whatever you conjure up when you think of enlightenment, I bet it's not laziness, right? Well, on the back of the book, I have to share this. It says, "It's all right to have a good time." That is one of the most important messages from Enlightenment. So in the spirit of playfulness and sharing all perspectives, today I present The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, which is a really short read and a fun read. Thaddeus Golas was a product of the hippie movement, the 70s, LSD, a little bit of pot smoking, that kind of thing. So some of those analogies are laced throughout his book. And I think that it's refreshing to hear somebody just be so down to earth and real about a time in our history, when you think about the 60s and 70s, when a lot of exploration was happening and it was so new, and there was the New Age movement and all of this, for somebody to take a lighthearted approach to the idea of enlightenment, because isn't that what it's all about? Getting lighter, lightening up, not being so serious all the time. So with a playful attitude, I want to share what I learned from The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, starting out with his basic philosophy or premise, which I think is fantastic. It's simply that everyone is equal. All beings are equal. We're all equal, and the universe is how we relate to each other. So we are, in essence, I guess, creating this in our relationships. It's our relationships that create our universe. And so he uses space, mass, and energy as a way to relate this, saying that think about something that is completely contracted and very dense versus something that's completely expanded and spacious. And so I think about my breath, breathing in and out. So if you take a deep breath, it's very expansive. And when I contract all the muscles in my lungs and my diaphragm and exhale, and I'm very contracted. So there's mass, space. And then the action of going back and forth between the two is energy. And so everything we're doing is some relationship of mass, space, and energy. And depending on the ratios that are involved, without getting into all the quantum physics of it, he just kind of came to this conclusion on his own. But quantum physics turns out to back it up, that everything is space, mass, and energy. And so I find it helpful in my day-to-day life to just think about my reaction or approach to something of, am I having a spacious or expansive reaction to something? A beautiful sunset or sunrise, mountain view, those kinds of things I find so expansive, and they just open me up, and more the joyful feelings come from that spatial place. Contracted kind of feelings are sadness, death, grieving, dying, illness, disease start to get heavy and sad, contracted and pulling within. I've certainly had those experiences in my life too. I'm sure you have as well. Feel the difference between such an expansive place and such a contracted place. And then the energy of moving in between those places, our whole lives are like this. I don't know if it's a sine wave or a cosine wave, but we're constantly in movement between an expanded and more contracted place. Where we get stuck and cause ourselves the most pain is when we get attached to any one of those places and just cling to it. So I want to share with you directly from Thaddeus, because I love the way he put it, how music can teach us to let go. Music shows us how to maintain pleasure and ecstasy. Normally, we tend to think of a moment of euphoric realization as unbearable and impossible to continue. When you're completely expanded, I can't maintain that. You know what I mean? It makes you nuts, actually. After a while, you gotta contract again. You can't maintain any of these again, that flow. It slips away, and then we pursue it again. And it's our grasping and trying to attach to it and pursue it again that causes us suffering and pain. It does so because we are unwilling to let it go. We are unwilling to conceive of being away from it. Oh, I gotta have it. It brings me such joy, right? And we chase these things down. Success or money or peace or quiet or relaxation or a vacation at the beach. Whatever you're chasing down. Sugar, chocolate, yeah. Whatever you're chasing down, gotta have it. It brings me pleasure. But if we take the example of music, letting go of one note to hear the next, then our pleasure can be constant, even though the vibrations change. So even though this is happening, and there's lots of expanding and contracting happening while you're listening to a piece of music, any kind of music, whether you're a metalhead, orchestra music, classical, pop, rock, whatever you enjoy, blues, classical, any kind of music has something going on where you have to let go of the note to hear the next, and it is in the stillness of allowing that letting go to hear the next that pleasure can be maintained without being in a grasping kind of place. So see if you can apply that to your life anywhere. Easier said than done, I know. I'm trying to think of an example. Like sometimes when I'm playing with my my kiddo, he'll be really involved in something, and I'll just kind of step back and watch, and I'm kind of more in this observer place, so I'm not attached to his drawing like he is, or I'm not attached to the whatever the outcome we're trying to get. And I'll get this really overwhelmingly warm parental kind of sense of just expansion and love that is so like in the moment and indescribable almost, but it's like this music, because I'm not trying to get his shoes on. I'm not attached to some outcome. I can't always live in that place because we do have a real life where sometimes we have to get our shoes on. But if more often than not, I can step back and see the music happening in my life right as it is happening, then I have a more pleasurable day. So I challenge you to give that a try. Before I wrap up Thaddeus's What Did I Learn from The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, I want to share one more quote of his directly from his book because it's so good. Okay, he's talking about the idea of resistance, when we resist things, and he comments the consequences of his own resistance to the error of resisting evil. So in bringing up the concept of resistance, he realizes he is resisting resistance. I know that's kind of twisted, but think about it, it makes sense. This is a perfect example of how we are always guilty of what we condemn in others. What we see is always ourselves. It is useless to go and correct anyone's behavior. It is useless to go and correct anyone's behavior. I should say that to myself in the mirror every single day. That would be good advice for me. If he knew what he was doing, he wouldn't be doing it. True enough, but he is just as capable of knowing it as we are. I get with children, you might have to apply a little bit different thinking, but maybe we can. I mean, maybe we can help them come to the realization on their own instead of always correcting. If he doesn't see it of his own free will, is he really any more likely to do so when we tell him or her, whether it's your husband, wife, mother, father, brother, sister, whoever, coworker? By denying him his freedom to be wrong, we are equally wrong. Yeah, I read a quote somewhere that one of the hardest things in the world to do is to know how to do something thoroughly and to stand by and watch someone else do it wrong without comment. Giving others the freedom to be stupid is one of the most important and hardest steps to take in spiritual progress. Conveniently, the opportunity to take that step is around us every day. Thank you for joining me today on the Voracious Reader, and I hope you enjoyed a little snippet of what I learned from The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment. Create a great day.